You said never let me go. You said never let me.
Hey guys, so it is now the 2nd of March, so it's time for my February wrap up. I am crocheting while I do it. So yeah, we're gonna run through what I ended up reading in February, what my plans are for March, and a new-ish reading concept because I'm slacking on my reading. So let's go through what I read in February first. So I read Killing the Witches by Bill O'Reilly, which I gave 3.5 stars. It was interesting for the first half, got really weird in the second half. But yeah, I would read more from the authors again. I finally read finished Narcissus in Chains by Laurel K. Hamilton, which I gave 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. The new love interest coming in, and he just new powers. We finally got rid of whiny Prudy Anita, which was very nice. I then read back to back Seven Finctus Saints and Disciples of Chaos by M.K. Lobb. Respectively, I gave them 4.25 and 4 stars, purely because the ending of the duology wasn't the direction I wanted it to go, and they just could have been a little bit more done with the concept. But overall, if you're looking for a fantasy duology with an interesting magic system, then pick it up. It's pretty good. I then read Snow Globe by So-Young Park, a really strange, twisty sci-fi. It is translated from Korean, and yeah, I gave that 4 stars. It was good. The concept was great. It was like a combination of the Hunger Games meets Snowpiercer. But there were quite a few concepts brought in that never really went anywhere. I do know it's a duology, but there just wasn't really enough to keep me invested to read the sequel. After that, I read My Throat, an Open Grave by Tori Bovalino, which is her newest book. I gave that 3.5 stars. While I loved The Devil Makes Three, this one was just way too religious for me without any basis for it. Like, the town seems very cultish, with the religion aspect would fit, but it's never written or described as a cult. So it just seems like there's just one town in the middle of nowhere that is full of religious wackos. But then it brings in mythological and fantasy elements that didn't quite work. I would have either made it like a religious thriller with the main character trying to escape a cult, or I would have made it a fantasy book, a retelling of Labyrinth, which would have been just as good either way, if better really, in my opinion. So Tori Bovalino might be a decisive author for me because I've read one book that I gave 5 stars, one book that was very mid, and I do have Not Good for Maidens to read, which is a retelling of The Goblin Market. So we shall see where my opinion falls on her as an author. Then I read Blood on My Hands by Shannon O'Leary, which is an autobiography, very dark, very gory, very twisted. Definitely check out some trigger warnings if you're going to read it. But it was well worth the read. I then continued with the Human Mating Site series by B.R. Wilde. I read Mr. Boring and Mr. Nice, which I gave both of them 4.25 stars. Blood on My Hands, I give 3.5 stars. Yeah, the series is really good. They're short, romance, smutty novellas. We are coming up now to the end game of the series, which is what I'm really excited to see. But yeah, just cute, cozy, smutty little romance novellas, really good for breaking up bigger books or getting you out of a reading slump. I then had 2 DNFs, which were both non-fictions, which were At Every Depth by Tessa Hill and Women in Japanese Studies by Alyssa Friedman. Both of these suffered from the same thing. They were interesting in concept, but just way too long. In Women in Japanese Studies, after about 4 or 5 of the essays, they all started to sound the same. There was nothing unique or different about them, except their disciplines. At Every Depth was really interesting concept, but rather than talking about the parts of the ocean which were really interesting, what I wanted to learn more about, it just kept banging on about global warming and climate change, and I was bored. Then I read Tempt Me by K.A. Tucker, which is the first book in the Wolf Hotel series. I actually really enjoyed it, even though it's labelled as being a smutty romance, which it is. It's a very, very slow burn smutty romance. So for the majority of it, you don't get any smut until towards the end, which isn't normally my style, but I actually ended up really enjoying it. And then I capped off the month with Wordslit by Amanda Montell. Obviously, I recently read Cultish by Amanda Montell and really loved it. And I gave it 4 stars, the same as Tempt Me. It wasn't quite as entertaining as Cultish, but I really liked how she looked into the origins of words and how definitions and connotations of words change over time and with our society. So that was really interesting. So yeah, that was everything I read in February. I ended up reading 13 books overall. 2 of those were DNFs, but pretty good reading month for me. Going into March, I have already finished my first book, which is 13 Ways to Kill Lullabelle Rock by Maud Wolfe. I'll talk about it more in my wrap-up, but very mid sci-fi-ish story. I'm now currently a quarter of the way through This Body Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us by Edgar Cantero. I read Meddling Kids last year and really enjoyed it. And this one it's hilarious. There is so much going on. The only way I can describe the humour and how the pacing works in this book is it's very similar to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, if you've seen that movie. You know, dark, comedic, vaguely sexual, but absolute comedy from beginning to end. I absolutely love it, and it does have a really interesting concept as the main character we are following has genetic chimerism, basically meaning even though they have one body, they are 2 people within it. A bit like conjoined twins, but without the physical signs. So conjoined twins can distinctly be seen as two separate people, just joined together, whereas Kimrian in this is one person and looks like one person, but they are actually two people. So yeah, that's great so far. I'm hoping it will do what Meddling Kids did and really blow me away with the concept. Edgar Cantera's writing is amazing. So yeah, I can't wait to finish that. Hopefully today the audiobook is great as well. And then as for a general reading update, I have been collecting more and more books recently, but I'm reading less than I normally would. Normally, over the past couple of years, I've averaged 15 to 20 books a month, depending on the length. And in the past year or so, I barely hit 15 a month if I was lucky, unless I was reading a lot of manga or novellas. So I am once again trying to pick up the reading pace. So I'm going to do that this month by employing the good old spinner wheel. Yes, I am a mood reader, but the spinner wheel can kind of prompt me to pick up certain books on my TBR, depending on what I'm in the mood for. So you will be seeing that in the next couple of vlogs. So do stay tuned. I am going to try and update a bit more frequently in March. So do keep your eyes open, and I will speak to you again soon. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you soon. Hey guys, excuse the look. I've just come out the shower, but it's been a couple of weeks since I updated you because I've once again not really filmed much. This angle is really awkward, so forgive me if you wobble around because I'm gonna have to adjust. Oh, that's a bit better, guys. So it's been a couple of weeks since I updated you because I've just been busy with life in general. Getting ready to go back to university. There's a lot I've got going on right now. However, that being said, I did want to give you an update on what I've been reading. Because as you probably would have seen in my February wrap-up, there was quite a few books on my TBR. And I just want to give you a bit of a rundown. So, I can't remember what I mentioned or what I didn't, so I'm just going to go through everything. I read 13 Ways to Kill Lilibel Rock by Maud Wolf. I give that 3 stars. It was mid, cringy romance, but good concepts. Then I read This Body's Not Big Enough for the Both of Us by Edgar Cantero. 5 stars. I loved it. If you liked Meddling Kids, and you liked the humour banter element of that, definitely read that one. I will be reading, I think it's called Supernatural Elements, which is also by Edgar Cantero, very soon. I read Everything Under by Daisy Johnson. Give that 3.25 stars. It was very much like literary fiction, magic realism, but the twist at the end was weird and creeped me out a bit. So then I read Forest of Souls and Broken Web by Laurie M. Lee, which are the first and second book in the Shaman-Born series. I was supposed to be on a blog tour for Calling of Light, the 3rd book, but life happened and it didn't work out that way. So I gave those 4 and 4.25 stars respectively. I will be reading Calling of Light when I've got some time to read it.
Really great series if you want a good magic system, compelling characters, interesting plot with no romance, then definitely pick that up. Then the other day I got my arcs of book novellas 9 and 10 in the Human Mating Site series by B.L. Wild, which were Mr. Unavailable and Mr. Roxanne. I gave those 4 and 3.5 stars respectively. There's only 3 novellas left in the series now, so I want to see who she ends up with in the end. I also read Ultra Processed People by Chris Tulican. I give that 5 stars. If you're interested in the science of food or what's in your food and how to eat better, definitely pick that one up. Now on to what I'm currently reading. I am still reading The Science Delusion by Rupert Sheldrake. It's taking me ages to read this because it's so dry. But I am currently at chapter 9, so there's only 12 chapters in here, so I am in the final push. I think I've got 2.5 hours left in the audiobook. So I will be finishing this month. And then I am on a blog tour for Cursed Cruise by Victoria Fulton. And I do have Horror Hotel on my iPad, which I'm filming on. So I need to read Horror Hotel and Cursed Cruise in the next 2 days. But these are really short, both under 300 pages. The audiobooks are about 6 hours. I listen to them on 1.75, 1.8 speed, so you can basically cut that in half. So I should definitely be able to do that. So that is my goal over the next few days. I'm going to devote today to reading Horror Hotel and potentially another chapter of this. And then tomorrow, Cursed Cruise. Try and finish this thing off because I only have 2 chapters left. And that's basically everything I need to do immediately. I do have one more blog tour, which is 6 Truths and a Lie, which I need to read by April 2nd. So by the time I finish these 2 and this, I'll have about a week to read that. So that will be next step on the list to get that done in advance. And then if I can get all that done and I've still got time left in the month, I will be reading Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. This is again really short, it's less than 200 pages, so I should be able to bang that out really quickly. And then the next thing I do want to get into, because it's been sat there for a while staring at me, but I've got a weird relationship with these books, which is Cerulean Sins by Laurell K. Hamilton. This is book 11 in the Anita Blake series. And what I mean by have a love-hate relationship with these is most of the time, once I actually get into them, you know, like the first 50-ish pages in, I get really hooked on the writing style, and at this point in the series, the characters. But it's actually getting into them that is the problem. Because like this has been sat staring at me for weeks and I've had no inclination to pick it up. But I know the second I do and I get those first couple of chapters under my belt, I'll fly through it. Which I really need to do because we should be on book like 18 or 19 right now. And I'm behind. But I know for the series, if I can read Cerulean Sins, which is about 500 pages, and the next book, Incubus Dreams, which is a chunky book as well, the next couple are a lot shorter. So I should be able to, if I can get through 11 and 12, I should be able to bang out 13, 14 and 15 in a very short space of time. So I should be able to catch up to where the series read-along is. So I think that's the plan for now. I'm going to read Horror Hotel, Cursed Cruise, and finish The Science Delusion, and that takes care of everything that I'm currently in the middle of or have to read in a very short period. And then I'm going to get to these two while also reading Six Truths and a Lie, because that's the only blog tour I've got for April so far. And then all my blog tour commitments are out the way. And yeah, I'm ready to go then. So yeah, I think that's everything. I will film myself reading a bit later on. I can't do it for Horror Hotel because I have that on my iPad to read, and I can't read and film on the iPad at the same time. However, when I get to Curse Cruise, reading this and the other physical copies I have, I will definitely film some actual reading at some point, because I think a lot of you come for that and then I forget. And it's genuinely my fault. I'll literally start reading and think, oh, I should be filming this, and then I get sucked into it. Filming doesn't happen, and then book is read. Rinse and repeat. So yeah, that's just my brief little catch up. So I'm going to try to get this video up in the next couple of days, and then I'm hoping to put out one more video in March before my wrap up at the beginning of April. So yeah, I will keep you posted, and I'll see you later.